Welcome back! Right now I'm in Hollywood, California, on my way to the world-famous Hollywood Walk of Fame on Hollywood Boulevard. The Hollywood Walk of Fame has 5-sided stars on the ground that serve as monuments honoring stars of different genres, such as actors, musicians, producers, directors, theatrical, musical groups, athletes, fictional characters, and others. It runs for 1.3 miles, mostly on Hollywood Boulevard. It is definitely considered quite an honor for someone to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Now let's continue walking along Hollywood Boulevard and checking out more of these celebrities with stars, past and present. This is Serve Robotics' little driverless delivery vehicle. You can order food and it will deliver it to you. It runs around Hollywood and Los Angeles. Restaurant workers put the food in and it knows where to deliver it to. I also thought it's pretty funny that the store behind me has got the Beach Boys song I Get Around playing as this little guy is driving by, or getting around. As we pass by this large souvenir shop, there are a ton of souvenir shops along Hollywood Boulevard. Just like most major tourist sites, you can find everything from your own name on a Hollywood star to a miniature of the Hollywood sign. Now let's continue on as we check out more stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And now we pass by Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, where there are wax figures of many of your favorite Hollywood stars.
Freaking bunny right there. The bug rocket. I call it Shirley Bug.
And now we're coming up to the most famous landmark on Hollywood Boulevard, Groman's Chinese Theater. It was opened in 1927 after the success of the nearby Egyptian theater. Neither one of them had anything to do with those countries or even people from those countries. It was just popular at the time to do different architectural styles. The theater was designed by Sid Groman to look like a Chinese pagoda, obviously. It opened with the premiere of Cecil B. DeMille's King of Kings, and it quickly became the most famous and most popular movie theater in the world. It has been home to countless movie premieres and red carpet events, with the world's biggest actors, including the huge premiere of Star Wars in 1977. It has even hosted the Academy Awards. It was originally named Groman's Chinese Theater, and many people still call it that. Then the naming rights were changed in the 1970s to Mann's Chinese Theater. Then in the early 2000s, it was changed back to Groman's again. And then in 2013, the company TCL paid for the naming rights to be named the TCL Chinese Theater. But in the future, no doubt the name will change again to another company. But I think most people will just call it Groman's Chinese Theater or just the Chinese Theater. You can still see movies here to this day. Another thing that makes this theater the most popular and famous in the world is what you're seeing right now. The hand and footprints with autographs in the cement from current and former Hollywood superstars that make up the courtyard. They say it all started in 1927 when cement was still drying and an actress walked into the wet cement. That gave Sid Groman an idea and he ran with it. And it has been happening ever since and still to this day. Some of the biggest stars in Hollywood history have participated. You can see some of these are actually made out to Sid. There's Cary Grant. The cast of West Side Story. Above that is Natalie Wood, who was also in West Side Story. Here's Jack Nicholson and Jane Fonda. And on the other side of her is her father, Henry Fonda. And here's the great Judy Garland from Wizard of Oz fame. Up here is Mickey Rooney. Up over here to the left is John Barrymore, whose daughter Drew is also a movie star. There's Danny Thomas. And right over here it's Marilyn Monroe. Gentlemen prefer blondes, it says. Signed in 1953. That's pretty cool. Big stars everywhere. Sophia Loren, Charlton Heston. Wow. There's the great Gene Autry. Looks like he's included some horseshoe prints as well. I assume those are horseshoe prints anyway, and not reindeer prints. He is the man that sang Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, after all. All different generations. There's Dean Martin in 1964, and Tom Hanks in 1998. Look at that. There's even NBA superstar Kobe Bryant up here. Let's see, we've got Jamie Lee Curtis, Ben Stiller, Kirk Douglas. Up here in the greenish color is Johnny Depp. Now this one here coming up is Norma Talmadge. Not as famous as some of them on here, but she was an actress from the silent film era. And she was the one I was referring to earlier when I said she accidentally stepped on wet cement and started this whole trend. So this is the very first one from May 18th, 1927, which is the day the theater opened. So this is actually a pretty cool piece of history here. Probably most people standing here have no idea they're standing on the very first one and a big part of Hollywood history. Here are some more huge stars from Hollywood's golden age. The great actor and singer Bing Crosby, who is from my hometown. Jack Benny, Clark Gable, so many great ones. Here's the legendary Gregory Peck, who makes up for having such a strange last name with a great first name. And of course, he was also an amazing movie star. And this slab was signed on December 15th, 1949. Further still, here's Christopher Walken and Hugh Jackman. Quentin Tarantino, John Wayne. Quite a contrast of styles and eras. Let's see, here we've got Meryl Streep, Steven Seagal, and here's good old Warren Beatty. I'll bet you think this cement is about you, don't you? The very politically correct comedian Mel Brooks. And here's a number of the cast members from the Marvel's Avengers movies, including Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, Chris Hemsworth, and Chris Evans. And just below them is Mr. Marvel himself, the creator of so many of the comic book superheroes, Stan Lee. There's Sidney Poitier and Jack Lemmon. Roy Rogers, Gene Simmons, Paul Newman, Betty Davis, Olivia de Havilland, and of course,
Wow, your choice. You're on the talk.
hey yo, it's Sylvester Stallone, Rocky Balboa himself. Here's the cast of the original Star Trek, William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, among others. There's Harrison Ford, and Clint Eastwood, and Steven Spielberg. There's Eddie Murphy, and here's some of the stars of Star Wars, some of the droids anyway. We've got R2-D2, C-3PO as played by Anthony Daniels. There is a ton of amazing superstars from the history of Hollywood here. A ton I didn't even name, including like Elizabeth Taylor, many great names. But it's a pretty cool place. Because there's almost always a ton of tourists here, there's usually a lot of people dressed up as characters charging people money to take pictures with them, similar to what you see in Times Square or on the Las Vegas Strip. Here you can see Spider-Man, and there's usually Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse and other characters like that. Now let's continue along the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and there should be many movie stars and music stars you recognize along the way. Now we're coming up to the Dolby Theater, formerly known as the Kodak Theater. It opened in 2001, and the Academy Awards have been held here every year since 2002. And across the street is the El Capitan Theater, which is owned by the Walt Disney Company, and it is where the premieres for most Disney films are held. And for those of you who do not speak other languages, it means the Capitan. There it is. As you can tell, there are a lot of great theaters along Hollywood Boulevard, which makes sense since this is the movie capital of the world. You can see a tour company up here on the right. There are a lot of them. If you're looking to take a tour and see where different movies were filmed or where different movie stars live, come to Hollywood Boulevard. It will not be hard to find many different tour companies that will show you where. Now at the corner of Hollywood and Highland. This is the place where the first 8 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame were placed in 1958. And across the way you can see Ripley's Believe It or Not. You better believe it. Your wallet is feeling hefty. You got too much money, I can tell. Come on and buy some souvenirs or I'll make your life a living hell. I feel so lonely, baby. I feel so lonely, you better buy. Thank you. Thank you very much. Here comes plenty more tour companies, and you'd probably feel just awful if you didn't have a falafel. Or maybe they don't sell that here. Now we're about to pass El Capitan Theater in a moment, which we saw from the other side. And then you can see the shopping mall and the theaters we passed on the other side from here. The mall you see over there now has an observation deck from which you can get a view of the famous Hollywood sign. Here's the star for Walt Disney's brother Roy Disney. Walt's is up ahead further. Here's even a star for the original Disneyland, which is just down the way in Anaheim. Like I mentioned, El Capitan Theater is owned by Disney. And here's El Capitan Theater now. You can see the advertisements for different Disney movies up there. Here's the star for Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker from the Star Wars movies. Here's another view of the Chinese theater from the other side of the street. You can kind of see it a little bit better.
个是搭我的那个，就是因为主要是今天我这个外套，我觉得这样搭很好看。不要工作，不要工作，搭我的。
Well, that's it from the Hollywood Walk of Fame in Hollywood, California. I'll leave you with the extraordinary Walt Disney. Until next time.